All right, get ready, because today we're going deep on something that could completely change the game for AI agents.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about AI that can, you know, chat with you or write a poem. We're talking about AI that could actually take action, actually get stuff done in the real world.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive leap. I mean, instead of just processing information, we're talking about AI that can learn, plan, and even use tools to achieve goals. It's almost like AI is finally, you know, getting its hands dirty.
Exactly. And to help us navigate this deep dive, we have this incredibly detailed white paper from Google AI, and it's all about AI agents. It goes from the very basics all the way to some seriously mind-blowing applications.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting about this white paper is that it doesn't just throw a bunch of buzzwords at you. It actually lays out a really clear framework for understanding what an AI agent is, like how it actually works.
Okay, so let's start with the fundamentals then.
Yeah.
What exactly is an AI agent?
Well, according to the white paper, an AI agent is basically an application that's designed to achieve a specific goal. And to do this, it observes its environment, figures out what needs to be done, and then uses tools to actually make it happen.
So it's kind of like we're giving AI a toolbox and then we're giving it a mission.
Yeah, exactly. And suddenly it's not just passively responding to prompts, it's actually, like you said, getting out there and working towards something.
I like that analogy.
Right.
Now, the white paper highlights three essential elements that go into building a successful AI agent, and they call it the model, the tools, and the orchestration layer.
It's kind of like, the recipe for AI success.
Okay, so let's break those down one by one. First, we have the model.
Right. So the model is like the brains of the whole operation. It's the language model that really drives the agent's decision-making process.
So it could be, say, a large language model like Gemini or any other model that can understand instructions. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the part that does the thinking, so to speak.
But thinking alone won't get you very far, right? You need to be able to act on those thoughts.
You got it. And that's where the tools come in. So think of tools as these interfaces that connect the model to the outside world, giving it access to data, services, APIs, things like that.
So, for example, imagine an AI agent that needs to, let's say, book a flight. The tool could be an interface to a flight booking API, allowing the agent to, search for flights, compare prices, and even make the booking.
Precisely. The tool is that bridge between the AI's thoughts and then, the actual real-world action.
I see. And then we have the orchestration layer, and this is where I think things start to get really interesting. The white paper describes it as the brain of the operation, right? It's the part that figures out how the agent takes in information, makes decisions, and then chooses what action to take using the tools that it have available.
Right. Think of it like maybe a conductor leading an orchestra. It's responsible for coordinating all the different parts, making sure everything works together smoothly.
Okay, I like that. So it might use, for example, frameworks like React or Chain of Thought to actually figure out the best sequence of actions to take.
Exactly.
So it's the mastermind behind the whole operation. Now, the white paper also makes a really clear distinction between what it calls AI models and AI agents. It says that models are ultimately limited by the data that they were trained on. Agents, on the other hand, can access real-time information and use tools to interact with the world.
It's a pretty fundamental difference. I mean, models are kind of static. They give you one answer based on what they were trained on. But agents are, well, they're dynamic. They can adapt to new information. They can learn from their experiences and even, plan for the future.
This is where it really starts to feel like we're, stepping into the realm of science fiction, right?
It does, doesn't it? I mean, imagine an AI that can not only understand your travel preferences, but also book your flights, hotels, even suggest restaurants based on, what you like to eat, all while keeping your budget in mind.
Now, that's what I call a personal assistant. So speaking of tools, the white paper goes into detail about three main types: extensions, functions, and data stores. And these are the things that really give these agents their power. So can we talk a bit more about each of these types?
Yeah, sure. So first up, you've got extensions. Think of these as kind of like pre-built bridges to external services.
Okay.
They make it easy for the agent to use APIs without having to write, a ton of complex code. Like imagine an extension for Google Maps, for example, that could let the agent find directions, check traffic, maybe even book a ride-sharing service.
Right. So the extension kind of handles all the communication with the external service.
Right, exactly.
So if extensions are kind of like these pre-built bridges, would it be fair to say that functions are more like custom-made tools?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So functions give developers more control. They can write custom code to define very specific actions that the agent can perform. This could be anything from scraping data from a website or analyzing an image to even, controlling a robot.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, and then what about data stores? Are those kind of like giving the agent access to a giant library of information?
Exactly. That's a great analogy. So, data stores give agents access to constantly updated information, and this information can be in all kinds of different formats. It could be, say, a database of customer information or a collection of financial reports. It could even be, the entire contents of Wikipedia.
So instead of just relying on its initial training data, the agent can tap into this vast and always growing pool of information.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so powerful. It's like having a research team that's working around the clock to feed it the latest and greatest information.
Right. It's incredible. And the white paper even mentions a technique called retrieval augmented generation, or RG, which sounds like it could take this to a whole other level.
Yeah, RG is a super cool technique that lets agents use those external knowledge sources, like data stores, to enhance their responses. So imagine an AI that can not only answer your questions, but it can actually back up its answers with citations from relevant, research papers or articles.
So it's almost like an AI fact checker, but like on steroids.
Haha, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Now, given all these tools and capabilities, how does an agent actually learn to use these tools effectively? The white paper talks about this idea of enhancing model performance using what they call targeted learning techniques. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. So one approach that they talk about is in-context learning. And that's basically like giving the agent a few examples of how to use a tool at runtime, almost like a quick little tutorial. It's like if you were teaching someone how to use a new software program, you might show them a couple of examples of how to perform specific tasks.
It's like on-the-job training, but for AI.
Exactly. So the agent learns by seeing how the tool is actually used in a few different contexts.
Got it.
Then there's also something called retrieval-based in-context learning.
Okay.
And in this case, the agent dynamically retrieves relevant information and examples from, external memory sources like data stores.
So it's like the agent can do its own research in a way, pulling information from those data stores to figure out how to best use a specific tool.
Exactly. And then finally, there's fine-tuning, and this is where the model is trained on a much larger data set of very specific examples. And the goal here is to really improve its ability to use tools in a particular area.
It's almost like sending the AI to, specialized training to become an expert in a specific field.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And all of these techniques, the in-context learning, the retrieval-based in-context learning, the fine-tuning, are super important for developing agents that can really effectively use these tools to achieve whatever goal they're set out to do.
This is fascinating. So to illustrate how all of this actually comes together in a real-world scenario, the white paper walks through this really practical example using the lane chain framework. And in this example, they show an agent using tools like SerpAPI and the Google Places API to answer what's actually a multi-stage question. What's so interesting about this example, to me at least, is how it really demonstrates the power of these agents to connect different tools and information sources to solve a problem that's actually quite complex.
Right. I mean, the agent in this case, it actually has to break down the question, has to figure out which tools to use, and then combine the results to provide, a final coherent answer.
It's like a mini investigation, with the AI acting as the detective.
Haha, I like that.
It's remarkable how all these pieces come together to create something that really feels intelligent.
It is. And I think this is really just the tip of the iceberg, I think in the next part of our discussion, we can start to explore how these concepts are actually scaled up to build these production-grade applications, like what Google's doing with their Vertex AI platform.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about that.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the basics down. We understand, the nuts and bolts of what makes these AI agents tick.
Yeah.
But I want to see them in action. I want to see that they can actually do in the real world.
Right. And that's where things get really exciting. So the white paper dives into Google's Vertex AI platform, which is specifically designed for building and deploying these, sophisticated agents that are ready for real world use.
Yeah, and from what I've read, it seems like Vertex AI is kind of like a one-stop shop for everything you need to develop these agents, right?
Right.
You can design them, you can build them, test them, deploy them, all in one platform.
Yeah, exactly. And the cool thing is it's not just a standalone platform. It's really integrated with all these other Google Cloud services. So you can connect your agents to things like BigQuery for, massive data analysis, Cloud Functions for serverless computing, and you can even tap into Google's, huge library of pre-trained AI models.
So it's not just about building the agent itself, it's about plugging it into this whole ecosystem of data and services that gives it the resources it needs to, really be intelligent and make a real impact.
That's the key. I mean, Vertex AI gives you the tools to create agents that aren't just clever, they're actually useful. And the white paper gives some really cool examples of how these agents are already being used out there in the real world.
Yeah, like what are some real-world scenarios where these agents are already making a difference?
Well, one area is in personalized customer experiences. So imagine like an e-commerce company that wants to offer its customers, really personalized recommendations. They could
Hmm.
use Vertex AI to build an agent that goes way beyond just suggesting similar products.
So it's not just, people who bought this also bought that kind of recommendations.
Exactly. This agent could analyze a customer's browsing history, past purchases, maybe even their social media activity to build up a really deep understanding of their individual preferences.
Like having like a personal shopper who knows you better than you know yourself.
Haha, that's a great way to put it. And then the agent could proactively suggest products that really match that customer's unique taste, maybe offer personalized discounts, even provide really tailored customer support.
Okay, I'm sold. Sign me up for that service. What else can these agents do?
Well, another area where they're showing a lot of promise is in healthcare. So imagine an agent that can assist doctors in, diagnosing and treating
That's
patients.
a big one. Healthcare is such a complex field. How could an agent possibly keep up with all of the latest medical knowledge?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. The agent can be constantly learning and updating its knowledge by accessing, all these vast medical databases, research papers, even real-time patient data.
So it's like having a team of like medical experts at your fingertips, constantly analyzing information and providing insights.
Exactly. The agent could help doctors stay on top of the latest research, identify potential drug interactions, even suggest maybe alternative treatment options based on a patient's specific, medical history and their current circumstances.
Oh, that could really revolutionize healthcare. Faster diagnoses, more effective treatments, just better outcomes for patients overall. That's a game changer.
It really is. And let's not forget about the potential for AI agents to, streamline all kinds of business processes. I mean, so many businesses still rely on these manual repetitive tasks that could be easily automated.
Yeah, things like, I don't know, data entry, scheduling appointments, generating reports, those kinds of things can really bog people down.
Exactly. And an AI agent could handle those tasks super quickly and accurately, freeing up, those valuable human employees to focus on more, I guess, strategic and creative work.
So increased productivity, more innovation, everyone wins.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. So the white paper talks about this concept called agent chaining, where you can connect multiple agents together to create a really complex workflow.
Oh, wow. Okay, so instead of just one agent handling, a single task, you could have this whole team of specialized agents all working together.
Yeah, that's right. So imagine a chain of agents that handles, I don't know, everything from customer inquiries to order fulfillment and even customer support. It's like this assembly line of AI, each agent kind of passing the baton to the next, creating this, seamless and super efficient process.
So you can have, say, an agent that specializes in understanding, customer requests, another one that's an expert in, I don't know, inventory management, and then another one that handles all the shipping logistics.
Exactly. Each agent is an expert in its domain, so the whole process just becomes incredibly efficient and accurate.
I'm starting to really see the potential here. It's not just about automating, individual tasks. It's about rethinking how we approach these whole business processes, making them smarter and more adaptable.
That's the big picture. And with platforms like Vertex AI, businesses actually have the tools now to really design and deploy these complex agent ecosystems. And I think it could, completely transform how we work and live.
This is incredible. We've talked about AI agents enhancing customer experiences, revolutionizing healthcare, streamlining all sorts of business operations. What other areas are, I guess, ripe for disruption, I guess you could say, by these AI agents.
Oh, the possibilities are huge. I mean, we could see AI agents transforming education, assisting with scientific research, even helping us manage our personal finances more effectively.
It's like we're on the verge of a new era of AI where these agents become, almost like indispensable partners, helping us tackle all these complex challenges and unlock new possibilities.
I think you're right. And as AI technology continues to evolve, we can expect these agents to become even more sophisticated, capable of handling even more complex tasks and interacting with the world in these even more nuanced ways.
So where do we go from here? What are like the next steps in the evolution of these AI agents? It really feels like we're, on the cusp of something huge with these AI agents. But like with any powerful technology, I'm sure there's some important things we need to keep in mind as we move forward, right?
Oh, absolutely. The white paper really stresses that, while the potential benefits of these AI agents are enormous, we have to develop and deploy them responsibly.
That makes sense. I mean, we're talking about giving AI a level of autonomy that we haven't really seen before. So what are some of the, I guess, key considerations there?
Well, one of the biggest ones is transparency. We need to be able to understand how these agents are making decisions, Like what data are they using? What logic are they following?
Right. So it's not enough to just see the end result. We need to be able to kind of like look under the hood and see the process, how it actually arrived at that decision.
Exactly. We need that clear audit trail so we can really understand the agent's reasoning and, identify any potential biases or maybe even unintended consequences.
And if something does go wrong or the agent encounters a situation that it wasn't, designed to handle, we need to be able to step in and take control.
Right. Control is super important. We need these clear mechanisms for human oversight and intervention, especially in, those critical situations.
It's almost like having like a safety switch, right? Just in case. We need to be confident that we can always maintain that level of control over these systems, especially as they become more powerful.
Absolutely. And of course, privacy and security are paramount. I mean, these
Yeah.
agents are going to be handling sensitive information, so we need to make absolutely sure that that data is protected from, unauthorized access or misuse.
Right. It's like we're entrusting these agents with valuable secrets, so to speak. We need to make sure they're kept, safe and sound.
Exactly. The white paper also emphasizes this idea of ongoing monitoring and evaluation. We can't just build these agents and then set them loose and forget about them.
Right.
We need to be constantly tracking their performance, identifying any issues, making adjustments as needed.
So it's this ongoing process of like learning and improvement,
Yeah.
right? Making sure these agents are constantly evolving and adapting, but in a responsible and beneficial way.
That's exactly it. And I think building truly trustworthy AI agents requires that, that long-term commitment to responsible development and deployment.
Well, this has been an absolutely incredible deep dive. We've, gone deep into how these AI agents work, their potential to really change the game in so many industries, and the importance of developing them responsibly. I have to say I'm excited and a little bit intimidated by what the future holds.
I think that's a good place to be, honestly. AI agents really do represent a significant leap forward in technology. And with that comes, a real responsibility to make sure that they're used for good.
So what's next? Where do you see this technology going in the next, let's say, 5, 10 years?
It's really hard to say for sure. I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless. We could see AI agents becoming integrated into, every aspect of our lives, helping us manage our homes, our work, our health, our finances, everything.
It's like having a team of like super intelligent assistants working behind the scenes,
Yeah.
making our lives easier, more efficient, more fulfilling.
Exactly. But it's really up to us to make sure that that future unfolds in a way that benefits everyone, I think we need to keep having these conversations, asking the tough questions, working together to create a future where these AI agents are a force for good.
Well said. I think this deep dive has given all of us a lot to think about. It's clear that these AI agents have the potential to change our world, maybe even in really profound ways. And it's up to all of us to make sure that those changes are positive ones.
I completely agree. I think this is really just the beginning of an incredibly exciting journey.
It is. To all of our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI agents. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep imagining the possibilities.